my name is Micah, and I've been spinning fire for about 7.5 years.
How'd you get started?
I met up with like a group of friends back in Virginia, and they were like a really awesome collective that would do regional burns along the East Coast, and they also put on events like in Virginia as well. And they just had like a really awesome OG crew who were pretty seasoned in the fires, like spinning community and whatnot. And so like I got the really awesome experience to just be around a lot of amazing human beings who helped pass on that knowledge.
And what was your first experience spinning fire like?
I want to say that because I kind of had like fire staff at the same time as fire eating. I want to say that it was more like empowering because I was like learning something that like I knew I could do, but um, as like an autistic person, sometimes like directions don't always like get taught in the way that like can compute. So like for me, it was like empowering to like have positive productive communication that taught me this thing. And I was taught with a metal spoon originally and given safety knowledge first, so everything that I had going forward helped like calm any nervousness. So and it was just something that like I picked up like really really well really quickly. And it wasn't as I feel like as like dealing with like static and like dynamic like props and things like that when you're like learning to balance and you're learning to like flow and things like that. I felt like fire eating was quicker for me to like pick up than a lot of the other props that I picked up.
Do you have any other hobbies that you incorporate?
Yeah, I'm a sex worker, and I'm also like a student, so a lot of the things that like I incorporate into like my flow with props, doing fire, LED, or even just day props and stuff like that, I think I incorporate a lot of like dance. And that kind of crosses over from being a dancer after I've been a dancer for 13 and 14 years. So I kind of like to cross over those like different ideals. And I think the word that I used before was like um, hyperfusion. Hyperfusion of like these two different styles into like one, and seeing like how they fit and how they work within themselves.
Why do you like fire?
I think it's more of like a respect than it is like a like. It's more about like knowing that anything could happen and you just gotta go with the flow.
What advice would you have for anyone that wants to start?
Safety, 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 safety. I can't even drill this in enough to people who I teach and have like coached and done workshops with. Um, Make sure you have the right materials for safety. Make sure that you get different opinions too, because each area where you spin is always going to be slightly different. If you're more in a drier climate or more in a wetter climate, it's also going to depend on like what kind of safety blanket is going to be involved. Never spin without a safety, a person who can basically spot you. And then also make sure that you have a fuel dump and that you have a way to close the fuel inside of a container that you are dipping in with your fire props. So definitely always have give yourself time too, because like if you're rushing yourself, you can mess up. Things can go awry and it's not good. Like you don't want to do that.
How is the fire community like in Hawaii?
Well, I have only gotten a little bit of exposure because of the pandemic, unfortunately. But I did get to catch one of the very last like gatherings right when I came here to like look for a place to live with my partner. And it was pretty cool because like it wasn't as intimidating as some of the places that I've gone to check out as I've moved throughout the United States and stuff like that. Some places are a little bit more closed off and they don't like really talk to you right away because they're like waiting to kind of figure out if you're cool or not. And this seems like more of like an approachable like scene, so like I was pretty appreciative of that.
What's it like doing choreography in a group?
Um, if you got the right people, and people most of the time who like jive really well and have like good vibes and stuff like that, who communicate well, you can get some really awesome, cool stuff. Like you kind of sort of feed off of each other, and then you've got different ideas coming together to play out these really awesome scenes and moves and things like that. And you can time it to music and you can get really creative with it, and it's really really fun if you like get the right group of people to do some like cool choreography with. So I've appreciated that sometimes.
Nice. What's been your favorite moment spinning?
That's a good one. Yeah, I don't even know why I had to think about that. So I was helping out with building a North Florida burn. I was the event coordinator, and I went to one of the southern or middle Florida burns while I was like living there, and I had a pretty good connection with a lot of like the kids out there, and so we were teaching them how to like spin and things like that, and it was like one of like the most amazing things to watch, something that you wish you could have learned like when you were a kid, and they get to do that. And so like you're giving them this empowerment and this trust that they can pick up like the things that you've been spending time with as an adult. And so we were at this burn, and they were going to do this children's kind of like conclave, and she had a little bit of a situation where they didn't have enough time. They didn't give themselves enough time to do their dips before they went on for conclave, and she got some fuel spilt on her by one of the other spinners. They didn't separate the adult spinners from the kid spinners, which was something that I had proposed to do for the next conclave for the next night, which was during their temple burn. And so we separated them, gave them their own space to do. And so she got to spin fire hoop, and she got to pick out my whole outfit. I gave her when you give them more control to be able to figure things out, they feel more calm, they feel more confident, they're more, focused on the right things instead of being stressed out and freaked out about, what could happen, or, how to be and things like that. So it was about like empowering this, baby burner to do her thing, and it was probably one of the most like amazing experiences to successfully initiate that entire thing. And she got to walk around, do her conclave piece, and with her fire hoop, and she picked out my prop that I would spin. She got like to choose from the plethora of all the ones that I spun. She got to pick out my outfit and everything like that. We matched up, and I got to do like basically like a rainbow LED hoop like with her as she, that was like kind of like help her feel, not alone while she was spinning. And then she got to pick out who her safety was and things like that. And so I just kind of helped coordinate all of that and communicate with everyone. And then also like we did this little pre-workshop ahead of time to give her some more moves and stuff like that. And I think she actually did knee hooping with the fire during her conclave set, and it was probably one of the most like proud like moments to watch her do. So I would say that one.
Oh, have you ever been to Burning Man?
Yes.
What was your experience like?
You get like all of the emotions all rolled into one. So there's like good days and there's bad days, and like that's the one thing I think people don't like speak about enough, is that you're gonna have a bad day out there in the dust, and you just got to get through it, and the rest is gonna be good too. It's hard, it's challenging, especially if you have disabilities and or are immunocompromised like myself. And I'm also like deaf. For the year I went, I didn't even have hearing aids, and it was like trying to read lips in the dark is not happening. So there were a lot of like learning experiences, but there were a lot of like places where I was inspired. So because of the year that I went to Burning Man, it inspired me to go back to school, and now I'm in school to get a communications degree advocating in minority rights because of someone that I met who was deaf, and his dry erase board broke while he was trying to talk to people about his art. And I noticed that something was wrong in just the vibe and body language in the room. And so I got to help him communicate with people, and I realized that I have an eye for body language, and I realized that I could probably help out with like different social justice type situations for people who are minorities. And then I found that there was a degree for that.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so that was my Burning Man experience. There's like some really hard shit, and then there was like really amazing, inspiring shit. And so yeah, Burning Man definitely put me in that direction, and I'm still on that train.
Yes. Well, what's your favorite principle and why?
Oh, that's a good one too. I really like leave no trace. I think that we get so like caught up in like a materialistic world, in the commodified, extended playa. I like to call that instead of default world, because I think extended playa more, incorporates the ethos of the community and stuff. So I think that leave no trace helps us realize that it's not necessarily entirely about us, but leaving behind like something even better. So it inspires us and teaches us to appreciate the world that we live in is not necessarily ours. It exists and we live on it, and it teaches us to respect that maybe.
Three adjectives that fire invokes.
Art. I'm gonna say art can be an adjective.
It's an adjective for sure.
Because it can be like artsy or arting. I'm arting today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So art would be one. I want to say passion and community.
Any final words or emotional, transcendent advice experiences that you've had?
I want to say change is the only thing constant in this world. There's nothing truly permanent, and the more that, and that's kind of a hilarious thing for someone like me to say because I'm autistic, and most of the time we need our routines and we stick to exactly what we know and don't ever change. But it's something that I have worked really hard on to do, and change can be something even greater than what you thought of from what you were doing before. So if you can figure out how to embrace the things around you that are in changing, you can see a lot of the silver lining and the positive in ways that can help you grow and teach other people to grow too, inspirationally.
Thank you.
You're welcome.